We'll call the Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, April 18th to order. Beth, can you do roll call, please?
Barry? Absent. Steve?
Here.
Bo?
Here.
David?
Here. We have quorum. We will proceed. If everybody would please stand up for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Barry, did I hear you just call in? Okay. All right, we will jump into the consent agenda. What are the wishes?
Motion to approve as presented, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Steve?
Yes.
Corey?
Yes.
Bo?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Motion carried. Looks like we have one public hearing to go through today, so I will open the public hearing. This is the first reading for ordinance 2023-0418. It's adopting the 2021 International Fire Code and each subsequent update as amended. Are there any comments on the first reading of the ordinance? For a second time, any comments on ordinance 2023-0418? Third and final time, comments on the first reading of ordinance 2023-0418? Hearing none, that'll close the public hearing on the first reading. Getting a new business, Dr. Herning, you're up first.
There we go. Now we have sound. Chair Hansen, Commissioners, greetings from Williston State College. Faculty, staff, and students bring greetings to you. And thank you at Williston State College. 3 projects I'd like to update you on today. First of all, the child care facility. Secondly, the turf project. And thirdly, the healthcare training facility. First of all, the one you're most closely tied to, the Crichton Child Care Project. Let me start by saying thank you to the county for all of the dollars you've provided to making that a reality. Alongside the city in making this happen, work started on this facility on March 13th and projected to finish on August 4th. And so the inside has been completely gutted and the work is underway. And a couple of things that we've been working on alongside this project is once the project started, we asked the contractor for bids for the rest of the building and the rest of the parking lot, because that's what we're responsible for as the college. And so the child care facility will take the western half, will provide 70 much needed slots for kids for this area. And then the rest of the building, the remainder of the lower portion in the high bay where the diesel program is located, we did receive bids from the contractor for that. We asked for bids to finish the sheet metal on the outside of the building, the roof on the rest of the building, and then the rest of the parking lot. And that total cost came back at about $809,000. And so what we're going to be doing is we're having a meeting right after this at the college, and then another one later this week with the foundation. And we're going to be looking at utilizing some of our tiered appropriated dollars that we get from the state, as this would be considered deferred maintenance. And so we are going to take some of those dollars and combine that with either foundation dollars or grant dollars to finish the rest of that building. So it all looks the same. The parking lot all looks the same. And in the interest of campus beautification, we have a nice entire new facility. The colors that we picked for the outside of the building match the Arc and the Western Star building because that's what it's located closest to. So it doesn't match Stevens Hall, but it matches those two buildings. So it's kind of a darker, more of a charcoal sheet metal, and then there will be some kind of a rust-colored framing of the windows for the building. So it's going to be beautiful when it is finished. In addition to that, we've had a number of meetings with Valley City State over the past couple of weeks because early on in the project, there was conversation about Valley City State bringing to Williston their early childhood education program and using the child care facility for that program for students to do their clinical hours. We are at the very, very tail end of finishing that language. They are excited to be part of the project. And when we have the ribbon cutting, hopefully in early August, President LaFave from Valley City State, his provost, and their dean of education have been invited to come to Williston and stand alongside the city and the county and the college in announcing this child care facility and Valley City State's connection to that. So that's where we're at on the child care facility. The second project that we're working on is a turf project. And that is to convert the softball and baseball fields into prescription turf. Right now our baseball team has played about 30 games. None of them are home games. They've gone as far south as Kansas City, Yankton, South Dakota, and spent the last 2 or 3 weekends in Montana playing baseball games. Considering they played them all on the road, they're both doing pretty darn well, but it'd be nice to have home games. Watford City has played on their field for the last month or so because they have prescription turf. So the foundation is working on the fundraising piece of that. It is going to convert both fields to prescription turf, going to put a fence around the complex, add a little practice infield that can double as a youth soccer field, add concession stand, add new grandstands, and that full build out is about $7.3 million and will be an entire complex that is not just for Williston State College, but also for the other baseball and softball teams in the city as well as the region. So if a team from Tioga or Stanley needs to come in and play a game, they can do so. Lights are also part of the project so that we can play deeper into the day. So we're in the very early stages. We've done the bids on the architect for the project, and fingers crossed, hope supply chain issues don't get in the way, but we'd like to have this project done by August or September of this year. And so we're fast tracking this thing as much as we can, and it is going to be a true complex that is really going to be for this region and not just for Williston State College. And then the last piece that we're working on is one that you no doubt have seen in the media. It's the ask of a healthcare training facility for the college and for the region. So we started out in early January presenting it to the House down at the legislature. And we came forward with a $36.6 million building, 2-story, 40,000 square feet, located just on the east side of Frontier Hall. And of that $36.6 million, we asked for $26.6 from the state. And we proposed to bring forward $10 million. That's 30% of the project. That's a big lift for Williston State College, a very big lift. We already have some in the bank because of some private contributions, but we don't have the $10 million. So when the House finished their deliberations, they put in place a new structure for funding capital projects in the university system. And what that new structure is 30% of the project from UND and NDSU. They need to raise 30% of the cost of their projects, and the rest of the schools 5%, because our ability to raise is far less than theirs. And so with that said, the House passed the higher ed bill, reducing our contribution from almost 30% down to 5%. So coming out of the House, we were asked to bring $1.8 million to the table in local funds. We have that. We were ready to roll. Jumped over to the Senate side. They did their work, and it ended a little bit different on the Senate side. And so the Senate side had the project in, took the project out, and then put the project back in again. So as I stand here right now, the project is back in the capital project list for the university system. They'll fund it, and they have moved our ask back to the 10 million that we started at originally. So it now goes to conference committee. And the conference committee was named yesterday. On the House side, it is going to be representatives, and I hope I get these right, Representatives Martinson, Sanford, and Swantek. And on the Senate side is going to be Krebsbach, Sorvag, and Scheibele. And my parents actually went to the same church as Senator Scheibele down in Mott in southwest North Dakota. And so we're hopeful that this project will remain in the higher ed bill, and that somewhere between 1.8 and 10 million is where our contribution will settle. We know how much we have in the bank for that, so we can get started on day one. And that's really what they were looking at. Are you shovel ready? Do you have the funds, and are you ready to roll? And we had yes, yes, and yes after the House version, and not quite yes after the Senate version. So that's where we're at on that. April 28th is the deadline for them to resolve this in conference committee. So next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, my ear will be to the ground listening to see where this settles. And so those are the three projects that we have in front of us. It's a lot for a small school to be taking on at one time, but I have probably the best finance vice president in the university system, a native of Tioga, Krista Lambrecht, who has been with me side by side throughout all these projects and dealing with the dollars and cents of these projects. So exciting things for the college, exciting things for the region. And as I started, thank you, county commissioners, for your support for any and all of these projects, past, present, and future. We truly appreciate it. With that, I will pause and stand for any questions that you have.
Does anybody have any questions?
Quick one, have you had good response to the UMary announcement on the, I know you had a great response on the nursing, maybe you want to repeat to the audience and the commissioners the nursing side, but I'm curious what your enrollment has been on the rest of the programs.
Yeah, on the University of Mary announcement, there were numerous responses, as you can imagine. We have, prior to the Mary announcement, we have agreements with every other four-year college in the system. And we have close to 30 agreements with the other four-year schools in the system. And when we put together these 2+2 articulation agreements, we always invite them to bring the colleges in person to Williston. Because of resources and various reasons, so far they haven't been able to do that. And so when the Mary announcement came with the in-person classes on site here in Williston, it got the attention of some of the other four-year schools, and they're now pushing a little bit harder to do something similar in terms of in-person as Mary is doing. But the one thing that it's done locally, just speaking from the region, the phone hasn't stopped ringing from people that are excited and interested, not just in the opportunity to take advantage of what Mary is bringing, but they have no college experience yet. So it's helping on our side, because we'll have them for the first 2 years of the program, and the regional scholarship will fund 100% of the tuition and fees for Williston State College's piece on this program. And then they jump over to the Mary program, the two business, the nursing, and the elementary ed, and they'll be able to finish years 3 and 4 for less than $5,000. So a lot of interest on that from current students, people that haven't been students, and people that have the associates but not the master's degree. And to that being said, we also have a meeting coming up with Dickinson State in the next week or two. They want to bring a program or two up to Williston in person. They have a counselor up here and have had one for years, but they want to now bring a larger presence here. So it's been very positive for the region. It's something the mayor talked about on day one when I was hired. And it's the first step in many more steps to come. The Valley City thing I talked about earlier will be the next step. when the healthcare building is approved and we start building that, UND is going to be on the front lines of bringing programs for that particular facility. And so sky's the limit. And we're excited for the opportunities for not just growth of the college, but the continued growth of the region and providing the trained workforce that we have to have for this region to continue to grow. So, other questions?
Well, we really appreciate you coming and giving us the update, and we look forward to see how many more exciting things come next time around. So thank you for coming, Dr. Herning.
My pleasure. Thank you much.
Okay, Darcy, I think you're up.
Commissioners, we have for you today an abatement application for capital gains property, which is the old Capitol Lodge site. They're filing for the 2021 tax year. It was filed by Garth Shuey of Crowley Fleck Attorneys, representing the owners of capital gains. The application is requesting a reduction of value from $5,270,180 to $3,529,940. At the time of the valuation and discussion, which is February 1st of 2021, no inspection of the property was allowed since 2018. There's no data provided by the applicant to support the actual status of the buildings or what was in disrepair as of our assessment date. 2 times in 2020, we were contacted by 2 different agents of the property owners at the time. In both times, we reviewed the property card with them and no mention of changes to the conditions of the buildings were made. When approached at the end of 2021 by Mr. Lucas Natwick, there was no indication again that the property had any concerns. I reviewed the property card with Mr. Natwick, and he did not correct the conditions of the buildings that we had on file at the time. We did request an inspection, which was declined. Based on these conversations, there seemed to be no damages on the property as of February 1st, 2021. They did submit an appraisal along with this application. However, the appraisal is dated June 6, 2022. We found many concerns in reviewing their appraisal and how their evaluation was derived at, and how the usability of this appraisal for ad valorem property assessment. They also included the sale of their property. However, we cannot accept just one individual property sale as an indication of their value in order to recognize a market. We did complete a thorough inspection of the property on June 21st, 2022, and filed an assessor's error for the 2022 value due to their findings at this inspection. However, it is still not known what the condition of the property was as of February 1st, 2021. This abatement was heard by the West Bank Township Board on March 14th and was voted to approve the applicant's requested value.
Any questions? What are the wishes?
What kind of motion are you needing? Just they approve the,
Approval or denial, I mean, of their application, the value change. And the local township was in favor of this, so.
I'd make a motion to follow, approve the recommendation or approve the
Application.
application. Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second, open for discussion. Anybody have any discussion?
This 3.5 million figure, is that their figure or is that your?
So it's actually the value that we placed as of, for the 2022 value. So they're asking for the 2021 value to be the same as the 2022 value.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none. Roll call, Beth.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy.
And yes.
And I believe Barry has joined the call. Barry, are you there?
Yep, I've been here for a little while.
Okay, just wanted to let Beth know that you're here. Yep, he was here.
Barry,
Barry. Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna go to Lindsay, I believe.
Sorry, I'll have to make new signs for when people join online. Good morning. I'm here to present this morning the recommendations for the Behavioral Health Grant Program. At this time, the commission had approved one cycle of grants, and so this is this first one for this year. Applications were accepted between February 1st and March 15th, so we extended it over the previous year to a total of 6 weeks. We received 13 applications totaling about $2.9 million. $635,000 is what was budgeted for this cycle of grants. And then an individual application was not to exceed more than $200,000. In your packet, I put a reminder of what the eligibility requirements were with regards to the type of organization that could apply and what some of the rules were. We did have a stipulation in there that applicants that had previously been awarded a behavioral health grant were eligible to reapply, but it was provided that their previous or their current award is in good standing, and then they weren't applying for something that had been funded previously. And that was kind of in the spirit of the grant funding not being sustaining funding, but help to jumpstart new ideas, get things started. The review committee was comprised of Commissioner Kemp, Sheriff Quandy, Holly Snellings, the director of North Star Human Service Center, Shar Farrell, the director of Northwest Human Service Center, and myself as a non-voting member. We as a committee met 3 times to review applications and formulate the recommendations. I want to say thank you to the individuals that were on the review committee for putting a lot of time and effort into the review and then meeting in person to complete the reviews themselves. In your packet, you have 3 categories of recommendations. There are the applications that have been recommended, the ones that have been not recommended for this go-around, and then a third category if you want to award above that $635,000 amount based on previously unrealized grant funds. So it's not new money, it would be from how those other funds, those other grants have been spent. That's for your consideration. I will say that regardless of what the recommendation is, we received a great group of applications. The whole spirit of this program itself was the fact that our providers in town are the ones who have the ideas. We don't know everything, and so we need them to be able to tell us what would work in our community. Sometimes things seem more feasible than others, they're more ready than others, and so that was kind of what hinged on some of the recommendation. We'd also say there was a lot of discussion that surrounded around increasing our services available for substance abuse and trying to increase what we can offer as a community with regards to that. Is also the case management piece and linking all of the pieces together to ensure people are getting not only the care that they need, but when they return to the community or are part of our community, they're being supported through that whole process. Do you have any questions on that part? Okay. Do you want me to read through the recommendations? Okay. For the recommended rewards, Choice Recovery Counseling for $109,100. Kaleidoscope Behavioral Health for $14,400. Milestone Health Partners for $172,700. Connect Us Therapy for $56,000. Playworks for $83,800. Connect Us Foundation for $50,000. Northwest Therapy Services for $80,000. Williston Basin School District for $39,000, and Wilmac for $30,000, and that totals that $635,000 that had been budgeted. In the event that you wanted to do an additional award based on those previously unrealized grant funds, we'd recommend $68,000 for Eckert. And then the 3 applications that at this time we would not recommend would be for Williston State College, Chatter Pediatric Therapy, and Healing Hearts Therapy. And again, all of these really speak to increasing and enhancing services, and decisions were made based on feasibility, previous grant awards, dollars available, things like that.
Lindsay, is the 68,000 all of what was unrealized for the last one?
It's not.
It's not
That's
how
just a
much
portion.
more is left, you know?
68,000 was the amount I'd feel comfortable doing based on what's been unrealized. Each month of the previous grant awardees, they submit their expenses to be reimbursed. And so kind of on a rolling basis, we have an understanding. And so at this point, based on when current grantees are submitting their expenses and when their funds may expire, that was the amount that I was comfortable. So it's above that, but then that number kind of changes every month. And I would say actually a majority of that would be funds that Eckert won't be realizing due to actually cost savings on their part.
Any other questions for Lindsay?
I would just say, one comment would be that Lindsay put a tremendous amount of work in, and I want to make sure that, you know, her work is recognized. The other thing is that there's 2 rounds, so people that have applied and weren't recommended, maybe we're being thought of, you know, there's another opportunity coming up, so,
Well,
correct me.
Yeah, this time, sorry, this one is the different grant program. You know, we have a second round for our community grants.
Oh, sorry.
But the behavioral health, we had only planned one.
Okay.
We do have other dollars that have been budgeted for behavioral health, but we wanted to see what came out of this cycle and then what also comes out of the legislature. So depending on, you know, how everything goes, we could create a second cycle. That would be a feasible thing to do.
I stand corrected.
Any other questions for Lindsay? If there's no other questions, what are the wishes?
Can I add a comment first? I mean,
Absolutely, you can do whatever you want, Commissioner.
I'm just, you know, kudos to and thank you to the committee and Lindsay, but it shows proof again, the need that this area needs for behavioral health services, and I'm gonna be a champion of doing everything that we can until I'm not sitting in this chair anymore. So I guess my point is, it's Commissioner Kemp to help answer your question. And it's not to say, depending upon what happens in our legislature, that we can't do this again sometime this year. So, having said that, I will make a motion to approve the request as presented by the committee.
One quick, Yeah.
Can I ask the question first? Do you want to include the extra 68,000 at the end that was an option with the unrealized funds and use that money?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Is there a second?
second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Beth, let's do a roll call.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and Corey.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you guys for all the hard work. Hopefully this will help further the health of our community.
Thanks.
Okay, looks like finance is up.
Good morning. It's time for the 22 audit to begin. Eide Bailey has issued us a letter, which you should have a copy, which has the terms and the responsibilities of both county and Eide Bailey listed out in it. They would like to start work remotely on May 30th and come on site June 5th. Yeah, I just need a motion to approve the audit and then have the commissioner sign the letter.
I would make a motion to approve the audit and authorize the chairman to sign. Is that what you were looking for, Christie?
That's what I'm looking for. Thank
Perfect.
you.
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes,
Bo,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did I miss any department heads? No? I see Verlin running out. Okay. Helen, looks like it's you.
Good morning. All right, you'll see in your packet, I do have the position report for you. It would include, we're seeking permission to fill a custodian position. We've had a resignation.
Would make a motion to approve the one position?
Second.
Moved, seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Barry,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Motion carried.
We are also bringing forward names to fill open seats in the Vector Board or continue representation in the Vector Board. Bram Lutz and Chuck Wilder, Charles Wilder, are currently serving on the Vector Board and have both agreed to be reappointed to their seats. So both terms are set to end 5/5 of '23 and go through 5/4 of 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Mr. Lutz and Mr. Wilder to the Vector Control Board as to the term stated.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Steve,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Motion carried.
That's all I have unless you have something else for me.
I sure don't. Anybody else got anything for Helen? Nope. That's it. Thank you. And we will adjourn the meeting.